Shall we begin?
Welcome to the Happy MonsterCast. I'm your host, Scott Marchand Davis of Happy Monster Press.
Let's begin now.
This week on the Happy MonsterCast, our heroes begin a new adventure in 1775 in the American colonies as the future superhuman Legion of Liberty. All right, so before we get into the introductions, a little bit of background. So, for reasons unknown to modern natural science, a small number of beings born in North and South America possess unusual and inexplicable supernatural abilities. These abilities can range from flight through production of fire or lightning to healing the sick. Seemingly, the higher order of the creature, the more likely these beings are to appear, with humans being the most prevalent example. A study by Aztec scientist, scholar, and explorer Citali shows the occurrence to be non-uniform, with the greatest concentration centered roughly on the Tropic of Cancer and a gradual fading of prevalence to the north and south. Later European studies determined that regions such as the Hudson's Bay area and Rio de la Plata have a much lower rate of superhuman births than those closer to the tropic. Some European philosophers have speculated, based on no real data, that climate may have some relationship to these abilities, and some further speculate that Central African peoples may share them, but thus far no such individuals or creatures have been observed. Indigenous African sources are definitive that no superhuman abilities appear in their region. Here in the English colonies of North America, unrest has been building for the last several years. Taxes on tea led to the Boston Tea Party of 1773, which in turn led to Parliament passing the Intolerable Acts of 1774. These acts closed the port of Boston, removed Massachusetts' colonial charter, allowed trials of royal officials in Britain for crimes committed in the colonies, and permitted governors to house British troops in private homes. The year is now 1775. A semi-covert organization known as the Sons of Liberty has been building resistance against Britain for the last several years within the colonies, carrying the banner of taxation without representation and feeling that oppression of their rights and their religion are prevalent. These Sons of Liberty are preparing for the possibility of a revolt. Knowing that the British have the Royal Superhuman Regiment, the notorious Greycoats, at their disposal, they have begun to gather young superhumans in the hopes of creating a force to counter this powerful British armed force. With that, we will take you to Boston. So, we begin with the Virginian known as Elijah Allen. He finds himself in the home of Sam Adams, a notorious member of the Sons of Liberty, Boston patriot, and future beer mogul, sitting in a storeroom in the servants' quarters of Adams' Boston mansion. So, if you would, please describe yourself, Mr. Allen.
Okay, I am a little over 5'7", about 6 foot almost tall individual. I am very cleanly dressed, not the richest attire, but also not the poorest attire as well. I have a pair of glasses I keep in my front pocket. I'm somewhere in my mid-30s. I appear to be I don't know. I'm from Virginia, so.
Okay.
Caucasian.
So this person, Elijah Allen, you've each been told to meet with as the Sons of Liberty have worked to smuggle you into the city. And so the first to arrive and to be ushered in by the servants and taken to the storeroom is the man known as Artemis Crow. So what does Elijah see when Artemis enters the room?
Just for frame of reference, he's a very studious person, so he's going to be constantly writing or reading. I'm currently writing in the book, taking down some things. But go ahead, sorry, Artemis.
So, I'm Artemis Crow, and what you'll see is a relatively slight, slender man, medium height, relatively nondescript. 5'6", 5'7". It's a little bit hard to tell. Depending on how I stand, my height, I can be a little shorter, a little taller. It kind of depends. It's pretty obvious that I've got some money. It's not a lot. I'm not, flashy in my wealth, but clothes that I have are reasonably plain, and they're not a big deal. But they're obviously very well made, in very good repair, doing quite well. got kind of a wary appearance. You're studying me, fine.
Mhm.
I'm studying you. It's
Okay.
pretty clear that I expect to have some difficulties in whatever room I'm going to be in.
You have scarage or anything along those lines? Are you like hardened?
I would say that I'm lean,
Mhm.
kind of. Oh, I just kind of average looking. My hair is
Okay.
kind of a medium brown. It's a little bit hard to tell if it's like actually the real color or if I've changed the color with either butternut or walnut coloring. No
Okay.
glasses, no scars to speak of. I'm pretty slight.
Do you look like a Quaker? Like wealthy but plain?
It would be kind of hard to pin down my profession. Trader of some kind. I'm not a printer. I don't have any printer's ink going on. A trader in goods, possibly. There's no nautical air about me. When you hear me speak, you'll tell that I don't particularly have an accent. Sound like I might be from around here in Massachusetts, but I might be from someplace else. It's a little bit hard to tell. Some of my word choices are perhaps not quite what you might expect to hear from around here. It's a little bit hard to pin me down.
Okay.
All right. So how does the conversation go as you two are meeting up in the storeroom?
I'd probably start by just asking his name and then writing any of the details down. What's my goal? What am I just waiting for everybody and then assembling them?
You've been instructed by Sam Adams to basically meet with these superhumans as they come in,
Okay.
and then get a feel for what they can do. With the idea that there's trouble afoot, and you're potentially going to need them in the near future to be able to
Okay. So like
do some combat.
I got you. Like superhero audition almost is what this is.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Then I would just go through a number of questions I'd already came up with days ago. Something along the lines of what's your name? Where are you from? Do you believe in God? And then also, what's your power?
Well, where I'm from lately, I'm from here in Boston. I've spent the last couple of years here in the city's environs, doing various trading activities. Do I believe in God? I am of the opinion of Mr. Jefferson. There is wisdom in the world, and it comes from many sources, and that there are many paths to righteousness.
Okay.
As to my powers, I look around the room, and I kind of stroll around the room, and as I'm talking, as I'm describing myself, it's obvious that I'm checking the place out. I mean, I'm checking for traps or for hidden panels or anything else. Obviously, I'm obviously studying my host.
Okay.
I say, as for my powers, and I vanish.
Did you say you vanish? I'm sorry, I broke up there for a second.
All of a sudden, you are in an empty room.
Okay. I look up slightly from my notepad. You're around, and then I comment. I assume you're still around.
I reappear behind you, looking over your shoulder, reading what you've written.
So as I see that, I tuck it closely to the chest and turn. I say, impressive. I'll introduce myself as well at the same time.
So just after this demonstration, a young woman enters. So Victoria Spellman, what do these two see as you enter the storeroom?
So my character Victoria Spellman, I sort of based off of Molly Pitcher, or sort of the archetype of that, but also being an alewife and being into brewing, but also being kind of resourceful, but not being afraid to sort of like draw a pistol on someone trying to rough her up. She works at a nearby tavern. She doesn't like this whole tax on goods thing. She thinks it's oppressive and ridiculous, and she thinks people should sort of use their gumption and their grit. And she doesn't like this whole tax thing and like a bunch of soldiers staying around and telling people what to do. So she's just lividly pissed.
Okay. All right, I'll go through the questions with you as well. You ask your name first and foremost, and then where do you come from? And then I'll ask you what your power is. Do you believe in God?
Okay, so yep, I'm Victoria Spellman. I am on. Well, let's see. I'm gonna say I'm from Quincy, so a little far away, but I've been working in Boston as an alewife at a tavern. My
Hmm.
powers are that I can basically make a lot of stuff go boom and blow up, and I'm kind of a nuker.
Okay. When you say that, I stop and I say, I'll need you to demonstrate. Can you do it on a small scale, or is it entirely destructive?
So I asked him to hand me a tankard.
Tankard? Um,
Yeah, hand me your mug.
I look at one of my favorite mugs, which I use for coffee, where I do not drink, and then I hand
Don't
it
give
to
me
you
your favorite.
concernedly.
Give me one you don't care about.
He says, I'm a bit short on extra cups. How about this? And he tips one of his items off the desk near him. That's like holding some pens.
All right, so she grabs it and pours beer in it and says, "Stand back." And as she's doing this, she puts it on a table, says stand back. She paces about 10 feet away, like points her finger and like snaps her fingers, and then like the thing goes boom.
Okay. It's not explosive. It's just like if a high pitched noise shattered it, or like is it like a firecracker?
It's like a firecracker and like kind of alchemical and boomy and explosive.
Okay. Okay.
And her view on God and religion is sort of, she very much agrees with Benjamin Franklin's sort of like, God, clockmaker, universe thing, it's working, be humble, work with it, that sort of thing.
Okay. Okay.
All right. And at this point, a Native American enters. For Victoria, you're familiar enough with the local environs that you can pinpoint that you are looking at a Wampanoag. For the rest of you, all you see is this person coming in who is clearly a Native American, although for the purposes of getting through Boston safely, has been dressed in Western clothing.
Okay.
So, Pet Know It, what else do they see as you enter the room?
And that clothing is barely functioning to make me passable.
Okay.
What you see is a rather large, rather disconcerting Native American, very scarred on the face. If he were to take his shirt off, he would be very scarred on the upper torso.
Mm.
He's not a happy man, and he is not very comfortable being anywhere near the trappings of civilization. He is here because one of the very few people that he tolerates, that he once fought with in the French and Indian War, approached him and recruited him for the cause. He trusted that man enough to take him on his word to show up to this, to hear people out and see what is going on.
Who was that person, by the way? Is it was he an officer, a soldier?
He was a soldier when I knew him. I believe he's a little higher in the ranks now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was his name George Washington?
No.
Kind of vague, yeah.
Well,
we may run into him later.
it's still fleshing out the backstory. I can give him a name now. He's not anybody that anybody would recognize. Just somebody who I fought with before, who I still kept in touch with after I lost everything. He is a inexperienced age. He could be somewhere between 20 and 40. You don't know.
Okay.
He's kind of that beat up, and he smells a little like a swamp.
Smells like a what?
Swamp.
I have no use for person grooming. I was a hermit for several.
I noticed that very quickly.
You have put clothing on me to get me here. Sure.
When I notice it, I take a step back, continue my note taking, and then I go through the questionnaire with you. You already said the name, so then I would skip to what is your power, and also, do you believe in Christian God?
I didn't even acknowledge that question. You get a derisive snort from me on that question.
Okay, and your power?
As for powers, I take a step back. In consideration For the people who have provided me the clothing, I remove it.
Whoa.
I look you dead in the eye. I snap my fingers, and you see a shambling mound.
Ooh, how big is it? Your size, same size as you, taller, smaller?
We're in a small room, slightly about my size, a little larger.
Okay.
Swamp thing.
Mm. So it's made of actual rock?
Yes, rock, earth.
Okay. Interesting. Do you control the golem?
I am Golem.
Interesting. I'd continue writing more. Okay, I'll introduce myself, and then I'll say, I believe I've seen enough. Next person?
All right. Well, there's a bit of a pause, and then an African American woman enters. So, Clara Washington, what do they see when they see you?
So you'll notice that I clang a little bit when I enter the room. And I'm kind of bulky.
Okay.
Young and strong looking. I'm probably about 5'7" myself.
Hmm.
I've got a big hat, and I kind of look around, and a little bit trying to hide. But so my face is going to be shaded. But it's a little hard.
Okay. Okay, I fail to look up from the notepad for a little bit, and then I look and I say, the same questionnaire. What's your name?
Clara Washington.
Where do you hail from?
I currently reside in Massachusetts.
And your power?
I'm good at everything I do. I things I can
Can
do
you demonstrate?
anything that's put in front of me. I look around at.
I have
I know.
I have cards on the table. I have like an inkwell, some.
I'm looking at
paper.
people.
Oh, okay.
So I would imagine that the Native American is probably the toughest looking guy there.
Seems like a pretty safe.
Sounded
bet.
like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of look at him up and down, and I'm like, would you care to grapple? It's a challenge.
Well, my eyes kind of been a while since somebody's asked me to.
Just for show. Just for show.
I nod.
Okay. All right. Throw off the cloak, and I've got plate mail on.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's wearing a cuirassier's breastplate and backplate. These are heavy cavalry, noted for being some of the biggest and strongest soldiers in any army.
Interesting.
I'll take that off, though. This is a friendly match.
I believe you also have a shield slung on your back. Is that correct?
Yeah, but that's going to come off with the cloak and the hat and the rest of it. Well, I'm not stripping down, obviously. All right.
Okay, so there's not a huge amount of space in here, but there's more
Yeah.
room in the adjacent trunk room, as long as you don't mind some obstacles.
No, I'm just going to try to do like a nice, easy judo throw. Nothing tough, nothing whatever.
Okay, so this will be a grapple, which means that you're going
That's
to
fighting.
opposed roll on athletics.
Okay, and I'm going to give myself a boost.
Actually, no, you're trying to throw him, so that's a push, which means that is an opposed strength roll. So this is technically combat, so I'm going to need you to roll for that boost on your boost trait skill.
Okay.
Yeah, good enough. So your strength is jacked up now to a D12. So go ahead and roll strength, and Pet Noah can also roll strength.
Just roll a d12.
Or you can roll your strength roll. Oh, Pet Noah is pretty badass. Well, give yourself the wild die too, because it looks like you're going to need it.
Okay, so do I just roll the
Just
Six.
strength?
Roll a D6.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're exerting a tremendous amount of strength, and
Okay.
you are frankly surprised because this guy is strong. So you're able to unbalance him a little bit.
Not throw him. Not some nice, elegant throw.
Not a nice, elegant throw, but at the same time, he's shocked. Pet Noah, you were not expecting this because this woman does not look like she should be this strong, and it's only your lengthy experience in combat that keeps you from slamming into the floor.
So we struggle for a bit, and I'm going to back off and kind of like give him like a hey, not bad, that nod.
What's your reaction to this, Pet Noah?
I kind of turn to the others and say, "She's small, but she's good."
Not that small.
I
Not
look.
to me.
I look up from my glasses.
Nobody
Nod.
by comparison. Pet Noah,
Very well. Also, do you believe in God, madam?
Absolutely. He made each of
Wonderful.
us perfect and in his sacred image.
I have a smirk after she says that, and then continues. Right?
He's like, I like her. Okay, so as this conversation continues, a gentleman appears in the doorway. The only one of you who recognizes this gentleman immediately, because you've met him already, is Elijah.
Mhm.
But he quickly identifies himself. He says, ladies, gentlemen, I am Samuel Adams.
Sorry.
And
I am very
Yeah.
pleased. I am very pleased to have you in my home. I believe you'll be secure here in the near term. But as you know, tensions are rising between the military governor and the local regular troops and our colonists and colonial militia. It seems likely that we will need to employ your services sooner rather than later. So I bid you rest well, dine well. I'm afraid I must ask you to stay in the servants' quarters for the time being, just for your own safety and security. But whatever amenities we can provide here, we will certainly do so. With that, I bid you good day.
Okay. I will follow after him and just fill him in on my first impressions of everything, whether he wants it or not.
All right. Well, let's hear your first impression.
Whether he wants it or not.
My first impressions, I am not too impressed with the group, apart from Spry Lady there at the very end. But if I stay with them long enough, I could probably turn them around.
Blast. Well, we'll have to. Well, if you have suggestions for how to bring them into some sort of usefulness, I'll certainly entertain them.
Oh, don't worry, Samuel. They just need a little faith.
If only I had. If only we had Revere. But,
it is too bad.
Alas, the regulars are well aware of his abilities, and they have him under house arrest. And it is not yet time for us to show our hand by breaking him free. But that time may come soon. Stay vigilant, my friend.
Of course. I tip my head and walk away.
Okay. So a few days passed. How are you spent? How are each of you spending your time here at the Adams household? Start with Elijah.
I'm going to be in my books, essentially, studying and also studying the local areas and things like that. Something that I think may help me. Apart from that, it'll just be my normal routine of reading literature.
Okay. Artemis, what are you doing for the couple of days?
I am staying limber, practicing with my knives, touring the house, looking for secrets.
Okay. You prowl around a bit, and there, other than a couple of concealed doors for servants, you don't find anything really interesting. But you are able to discover some of Adam's papers,
Yo,
and it's clear that he is deep in intrigue here with multiple people, not only in Massachusetts but all over the colonies, and that they're actively attempting to recruit additional superhumans to join you, and that in fact there may be another group that has been hidden in Alexandria, Virginia.
well, as is SOP, this sort of thing. I memorize everything that's important. Take a few notes just to facilitate the whole memory palace thing, and then squirrel the information away for future use.
Okay. Clara, how do you spend your time at the Adams household here?
So I'm going to check everybody's personal feelings about slavery and sympathies for or against slaves. Just basically make sure that I'm not hanging out with a bunch of people who are going to turn me in for money or because they don't believe that I have a right to sue. Then I'm going to keep an eye on whatever's happening with my court case.
Okay, so what are people's feelings with respect to chattel slavery of African Americans? Elijah?
I'm against it, for it doesn't seem righteous, and I said, and I kind of smile at her when she says it, and I said, "You're definitely on the side of right, lady. It's the only ones I don't have sympathy and empathy for are the non-God believers."
Okay, how about Artemis?
Slavery is an abomination. Your life's mission to abolish it.
Okay, that's that's a very strong stance.
Okay.
Pet
Are you
Noah.
sure you're not a Quaker? I'm good with that, but just checking.
I'm pretty damn sure I'm not a Quaker.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, just the swearing alone, clearly.
I hate slavery more than I hate taxes. You'll get no quarrel from me.
This is one of this point is one of the few times that actually rouses me to the point of getting like demonstrably pounding the table passionate. Other times I'm in any conversation I'm pretty nondescript. This is one that really is a hot button for me.
Okay.
All right. You get a checkbook and check next to your name.
How about Pet Noah? What's your stance on all this? Just as a note, if you weren't aware, slavery of Native Americans was practiced pretty extensively in the early era of the colonies, but has mostly died out at this point.
I don't know. He's pretty squishy on the concept of ownership of anything, really. Land, people, possessions, whatnot. I spent several decades living in the woods.
Smells like it.
Personally, he views you as somebody who has the right to be their own person anyways, just by dint of the fact that you held your own against me.
All right.
And Victoria?
Yeah, I wrote it in the dialogue, but yeah, absolutely hate slavery more than I hate taxes, and you'll have no quarrel from me because I can't stand the oppression of other people.
Excellent.
Okay, so Pet Noah, what are you up to for the next couple days as you're hanging out here at the Adams residence?
Is there any place outside that I can go, the Adams residence?
There's a small garden out back. It's much, much too small from your perspective, though. It's only about 25 feet square.
And I am in the garden, sharpening my weapons, doing my standard physical routines, and generally being miserable that I'm in a city.
Sorry.
All right,
They're
and
making me wear pants.
unacceptable. And Victoria.
All right, so Victoria really likes beer and brewing and sort of herbs and alchemy and that sort of thing. So she's going to be walking around the storage rooms and sort of looking for beer recipes, wine recipes, anything having to do with brewing or fermentation or plants or gunpowder or explosive things.
Or gunpowder or explosives.
She likes to mix things and blow things up.
What kind of beer are you?
Yeah.
Not a lot in the way of gunpowder and explosives, but there absolutely is a wide range of herbs. There's one of the servants has a small, somewhat illicit vat of ale going and a vat of cider going in the cellar. So you immediately have a friend there.
Yes.
And so these couple of days pass, and then Adams calls you all together, meeting up in the storage room again, which has sort of become your informal conference area. He says, "We've received some disturbing intelligence. As you may know, our Massachusetts militia has been attempting to acquire artillery in case that we have active hostilities with the British regulars. Our Salem militia, which is one of our strongest, has acquired 19 French cannon. Unfortunately, word of this armament has reached the governor, Thomas Gage. Our sources in the governor's office have determined that they are going to dispatch Colonel Thomas Leslie and a detachment of the 64th Foot to confiscate the cannons. We wish to warn Salem of this intent. We want to make sure that they're aware that Leslie is on the way and that we can hopefully conceal the cannons and prevent their seizure. The best man for the job is obviously Paul Revere, the Silver Speedster, the fastest man alive. Only Revere, with his super speed, can ensure the warning reaches Salem ahead of the 64th Foot in time for the militia to hide their cannon. However, Revere, like all colonial superhumans known to the Crown, is under close and constant surveillance by British regulars. Our mission for you is to see if you can liberate him so that he can warn the people of Salem. Do you have questions for me?
Where is he?
Yeah, where
Start
is
with-
he? Who's guarding him? How many people? How many
Yeah, let's get some.
guarding him?
Well, he's being held under house arrest in his home in North Boston. We know that they have British regulars on guard there. There's also a substantial detachment of the 18th Royal Irish Regiment in the immediate vicinity. They may be providing the guards. Beyond that, I'm afraid you'll need to take a look for yourselves and see what kind of information you think you can gather.
And by getting him out, I mean, how far, like, where do we take him? Get him out from under the guard?
We can arrange for a boat on the wharf adjacent to across from Charlestown that can take him to a ship, and you as well, that can sail north to Salem. But of course, with his speed, he'll be faster than the ship. So he can. The boat will take him across to Charleston, and he can run from there.
We know if he's healthy, what his condition is.
No one has been able to contact him for the last few months. He was in good health at the time, and from what we understand, they're not mistreating any of the superhumans who are outside of the Greycoats. But of course, we won't know for sure until we're able to make contact with him. We can provide you with weapons and equipment as needed. I have a store of muskets here and swords as well, cavalry sabers, if that will be suitable. I have a few flintlock pistols as well. And of course, if there's other equipment you think would be useful, I can do my best to obtain it.
So we should go take a look.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Okay.
Sounds of a mission of the highest order.
What time of day are you planning to go look? Some of you are more conspicuous than others. I'm looking at you, Pentanowit.
You're looking at me?
And how long do we have to get him out? Like when is the cavalry leaving?
The foot regiment is going to be embarking on a ship tomorrow. So if you can get him out this evening, this evening, or at worst tomorrow morning, that would give him enough time to get to Salem ahead of them.
We don't have a lot of time.
No, it's mid-afternoon now.
Right. Well, if I can make a suggestion, how about if I go and do a little recon and we meet up at a place close by so that I can bring back the conditions of what the guards are, what their patterns are, and we can formulate a plan for an attack tonight. It can be very inconspicuous.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
You are aware of each other's powers, so you know that he can turn invisible.
Yeah. It seems conspicuous.
Having seen it myself, I'll agree with his plan.
Okay. So, all right. So hopefully what you're seeing now is nothing.
Yes, that
correct.
would be it.
Dark. It's very dark in there.
Map of life.
That is Fog of War, which is a new thing that I'm throwing into this game.
Oh, wow.
Pretty sneaky.
Okay, so here's Artemis now on the map, and congratulations, you have vision.
I'm gonna have to zoom out some more. Let's see.
Yeah, he's down in the lower left corner, more or less. I'm thinking, yeah, you got him.
What part of modern Boston is this?
It is the Boston North End.
Okay.
The floor plan at least is the neighborhood is not exact, but the floor plan is based on the actual floor plan of Paul Revere's house.
Okay.
Well, since you can see it, Frank, why don't you describe what Artemis is seeing? I would also like a stealth roll from Artemis.
Oh, thank God.
Okay.
You're
pretty good.
invisible and the stealth roll is a 5?
Well, that's the basic roll.
Okay, you're on the corner of the street. There is a street heading directly in front of you up one block where there is one turn to the right. If you look to the right, the street continues about the length of 2 city blocks where there is another single right turn. On that side, if you look to the right down the longer street, on the left-hand side, about a third of the way up, you see what looks like doors to a house with a couple of guards in front of it.
Yep. There are, in fact, 2 guards. By their regimental facings, you can tell, and their badges, they do appear to be of the 18th foot, the Royal Irish. And you also see that the ground floor windows have been partially boarded up. The troops are they're watchful, but they're not really at full attention. They seem to be having a conversation about the pros and cons of various local beers and ciders.
Okay. I will. I'll come a little bit closer to them, and so this is late in the afternoon, which would be mid shift if they're on
Yes.
standard rotations.
Yep.
Based on the pattern of footprints and such in the dust or other visible signs and stuff like that, can I tell how often or how many soldiers there might be around? I mean, does it look like it's very heavily trafficked? A lot of traffic.
There's a moderate amount of traffic in general, mostly local citizens, but occasionally you do see a squad of redcoats marching by.
Okay. So coming down, not immediately across from the house, but sort of cat a corner a little bit. I'm going to try to scale up, get a view in through the second story windows.
Okay. So there are some narrow alleys adjacent to the house on either side where you could potentially work your way around back,
Okay.
or you can just climb the wall in more or less broad daylight, trusting in your invisibility and the fact that you hopefully won't make a lot of noise doing it.
Well, this ain't my first rodeo on this the second story work. So I will. I'll just the front wall.
Okay. So I need an athletics roll and a stealth roll.
Okay, there's. Oh, I'm out of the.
That's going to make some noise. Would you like to Benny that? A one is not really going to
Yeah, I'll
do it
bet
for you. Reminds me, I need a notice roll for the.
Okay, I'm trying to.
Here.
Okay, so I need and I'll redo the athletics.
Okay, so you're able to scale it up, and then now I need a stealth roll. Yeah, okay, you're pretty much a ninja with a 17
Wow.
on the stealth roll.
Nice.
Whoa.
So you eel your way up the wall, and on the second floor, there is a you kind of peek in the window, and you see a man with his back to you, seated at a writing desk across the room from where you're looking in the window. So you're looking at what appears to be a bedroom. There's a bed to your left. There's a desk across in front of you, and you can faintly see there's probably a fireplace off to the right side.
What's he writing?
You can't really tell from here. He's this is a pretty substantial house. He's clearly a well-off individual. So he's about 25 feet away from you with his back to you. So seeing what he's writing is probably not going to be that easy.
Okay. So I presumably have gotten a description of Paul Revere, so I know what Paul Revere looks like.
From the back, it does appear to be Paul Revere. Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about this. So I'm still invisible and I'm still nice and stealthy up on the thing, up on the wall. So so I on the
let me get your proxy here over to the window. Okay.
Okay, so I tap on the glass.
Okay. I need you to make another stealth roll.
He's wealthy enough to have glass on a second floor
yeah.
ceiling.
Yeah.
For him.
So now we need notice rolls, both from the British and the and from Revere. Okay, so the British are still clueless. Let's see how Revere does on noticing your glass tapping.
Boom.
Yeah, so Revere kind of looks around. He doesn't see anything in the window, so he turns back to his desk.
Was the plan to get in? Like,
yeah. Can I slide the window open a little bit?
It does appear to be locked from the inside, so you'd need thievery to do that, and it's probably going to make some noise. So I need a stealth roll again. But this one's going to be at -2.
Right. Well, it's the stealth roll.
Okay, so the 7 with thievery does the trick. The 15 on the stealth roll at -2. It's pretty quiet. So you've managed to cling to the wall and slide the window open a little bit.
Okay. And so, does Revere notice his window opening?
An excellent question. Because you're trying to do it as quietly as possible.
He's going to scream because you're jump
I guess
scaring
he
him.
does have his back to you, right?
He does have his back to you, yes. So he'd have to hear
It's just creepy.
No, he does not.
Wow. Way to give a man a heart attack. Okay.
It is in the house.
The window open enough that I could slip in.
Yes, I'll say that you can slip into the room.
Okay, so I do so. and scanning the room and checking the room to make sure that that he can see me, but that I can't be seen from the window. I kind of sort of slip over to the side. I come right to his line of sight.
I'm going to need another stealth roll because the window is over a dressing table. So it's not simple to maneuver your way in. Would you like to Benny that too?
I would like to Benny